Hello, we are live in our Now group. I'm presuming. We never actually know if we're live in this group because what happens is that I am doing this through Zoom. So I'm going to go back. There we go. I am back to Julie, who is today our member interview chat. So what is this all about? I'm looking down here at this iPad because I can't actually see you guys in now, but I can't. Oh, there we go. We are live. So we'll just, oh, we've got 2 people already. Oh my God. How popular are we?
That means we're late.
Well, actually, yeah, it could be. Maybe people's been sitting there going, right, okay, she says that she's going to come on at 2 o'clock. So where is she? So what is this all about for all the new members who have joined lately and anybody who hasn't actually seen any of these Facebook Lives? I call this Camera Lights Action. And oh, if you don't know me, I'm Lindsay. I'm the founder and organizer for Now. And these Facebook Live chats, we have them every, maybe once or twice a week. Sometimes there's a space because we work in with our own lives, our own busy lives. So this is an opportunity for you as a member to be able to showcase yourself, your product or your service. And it's all in connection with, this thing that you've heard, know, like, and trust. And it's like, if we're going to buy something from someone or we want some advice from someone, we'll go to that person that we know, that person that we trust, and that person that we like. So much more than going to someone we don't know. So this is what all these interviews are about. And today we have Julie Cullen. Julie is a confidence coach, as I am. But do you know something? The thing is, there are lots and lots of the same kind of businesses, like everywhere. But we are individuals. And we bring, always bring something different. So, Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
Fabulous to have you here. And we were just mentioning we both got the same colour top, so that's brilliant synchronicity. So, Julie, you've not always been a confidence coach. So, tell us a little bit about, you previously, before a confidence coach, and how you became a coach at all.
Sure, thanks Lindsay, and hello to everyone that's watching either live on the replay. It's lovely to be here. I know some of you already, having met you before, but it's great to be in front of you and taking part in this, Lindsay. Thank you. So yeah, I spent the first part of my life in my career working in the IT industry. So I'm a qualified engineer. I went to university, studied engineering, electrical and electronic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and ended up working in the tech sector in a very technical job. I was the one who fixed computer problems for our customers.
Oh, that's good to know.
That doesn't mean I still have the skills. Although my specialisation was laptops, funnily enough. So I did that for a number of years. I spent about 25 years working predominantly with IBM, so a large global corporation, and a few other experiences, but most of my career was with IBM. And working in the technical sector, as you can imagine, it's very male dominated. So we do a lot of things to try and encourage women to come into the industry, and once they're in the industry, to try and encourage them to stay. And I was always very heavily involved in that through women in technology, connecting women, different women's type activities we did. We used to run career clinics to try and help share skills and support and advice to the women in the company. And we also worked with the local schools. So all the kind of stuff you hear about STEM, for anybody that doesn't know what STEM is, it's science, technology, engineering and maths. So trying to get girls more interested in these types of subjects and hopefully to choose those kind of careers. So that was a kind of sideline that I always did while I worked in IBM. And I really, really enjoyed that. I found that lots of fun. And especially, I guess, because that was one of my touch points with other women, because I was so used to being the only female in the departments, especially when I worked in the very sort of technical type roles. And I think also during that time, that period when I worked for them, I was always very career minded. So I always drove my career in a certain direction. I was always moving forward. I was always managing my career. And I had different career pivots as well. So when I first started out, I was in a technical type role, decided that I didn't want to make that a long-term career. So I went into managerial type roles. Decided that wasn't as much fun as I thought it would be. And decided that I then wanted to move into client relationship management. So I went out looking after some of our large accounts. And so the whole way through my career, I was always focused on what do I want to try and achieve, what direction do I need to take, what are the actions, and I would enlist support and help through mentors, coaches, people that I knew, liked and trusted to help me on the journey. Yeah, and so what I didn't realise until people started asking me to speak about my career was that not everybody does this. Not everybody understands the importance of managing your own career and thinking about what you want to do in the future and thinking about how you get there. So I think the combination of that plus me working in this sort of working with the women's communities within our organisation and within the industry, so it wasn't just with IBM, it was lots of different companies within Scotland. It just kind of took me on that journey, and I guess there was a point at which I was reflecting on the journey I'd taken. I was trying to decide what I would like to do next, and two things were coming out for me, and that was either to stay with IBM and move into sales, or to see if I could create a career out of personal development and coaching and mentoring. Okay. So I started on the journey with IBM in the sales, but at the same time I started researching and doing some training on what it might look like for me to enter into a career that was personal development and coaching.
Ah, yes, you can see the transition there.
Yeah.
And also with you working with these women, these ladies all this time with computers, you were seeing literally that women in that field didn't have the confidence to be able to say, yeah, I can do it. I can do it as well as a man. We know, we know that there is still that divide there. It's not as bad as it was even 10 years ago, 20, but it's still there. And of course, it is a lot to do with the way that a male and a female are, how we are created. So for you to actually see that, to be there, to be a part of it, and then to see that opportunity meant that this is your avenue. You've got hands-on to know what it's like. So you went into, you did some training, did you say?
Yep. So I initially I started out looking at NLP and that type of kind of the strategies behind NLP. And then later on I discovered, well, I didn't discover it later on, you know Tony Robbins?
Yes.
A very famous coach. So I've always been a huge fan of Tony Robbins. And I discovered that he, along with a lady called Chloe Madonis, have a training program to help you learn some of the strategies behind coaching. I'm sorry, my door just went there.
Well, that's okay. Would you like to answer it?
I'll try. I'll keep out see this there.
No, it's okay. For anybody who doesn't know what NLP is, it's neuralistic programming, and it's a method that can be used by its body language, its eyes, the way you stand, and you can literally influence people by the way you stand. I'm just explaining about NLP here.
Yep.
Just for anybody who didn't know what that was. And NLP, I mean, it's a great system. And Tony Robbins that's part of his course, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where a lot of his strategies actually originated. So there's a lot of synergy between what he does and what you learn in NLP practice as well.
Yeah. How long was that course for?
So it's not a fixed term. It's a series of learnings on different strategies that you can use while you're doing your coaching. Ended up taking me 6 months. And yeah, it was quite a struggle because at the time, I remember it was year end for us financially within IBM. I was working in sales.
Oh,
so the
wow.
busiest time of the year, and we went through a lot of structural changes, and it was really tough trying to do that and work at the same time. But it was a very valuable course, and the lovely thing is I can dip in and out of it anytime I like to refresh some of the strategies that I was taught in that course.
So in your business, what is your business called?
So it's Julie Cullen Career Coaching.
Oh, I'm not going to forget that one then, are we? So in your coaching business, how would you go about, actually trying to help somebody? Somebody comes to you and they say, I want to do X. What would be your first step?
So a lot of the time when women come, and it is predominantly women that I work with at the moment, but when they first come to me, it's usually because they're stuck in some way. So it could be through the confidence challenges. You're right. There's so much of that in our population, unfortunately, where there's the self-doubt of what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Or it could be that they're just feeling very unfulfilled and not understanding how to get out of that and what they want to do next. And so we start on a journey normally where the first conversation is, as you will know, doing coaching, it's asking lots of questions, trying to understand where it is you are now, what is it you're trying to achieve, what's the block that's stopping you from getting there at the moment, and then starting to work on developing some of the techniques and strategies that you can learn to start dealing with the beliefs, the voice that goes on in your head telling you you're not capable, or the reason behind why you're stuck, and maybe provide some tools and strategies to help them then incorporate that into their daily lives so they can start moving forward again and getting back on track.
Right. Do you have, a story that you could share of someone coming to you and you've gone through those steps and they've gone away and they've carried them out? Because not everybody will do that.
Well, I'm thankful to say so far all my clients have, which is brilliant. They've all achieved some results. So I get a good quality client, which is lovely.
That's great, because it means that that you're actually going to see something happening. So, without mentioning any names, confidentiality and such like, and we've all got stories. What's your favorite story, or one that springs to mind of success?
I guess one of my favorite stories from one of my personal clients. So I do one-to-one coaching, and I also do group coaching, which are two very different things. But on the sort of personal coaching, as a client of mine, in fact, our relationship ended last week, and I'm very sad to not still be part of that journey, but I'm so delighted for her that she's achieved so much in her journey.
Right.
So she was a businesswoman who basically was feeling stuck. So she wasn't feeling fulfilled in her job anymore. So her job was her passion up until that point. So she'd become very stuck, not knowing how to find that passion again, and almost to the point as to wondering whether or not she should stay in that business. Her personal life was also a little bit stuck, and she was just feeling overall very unfulfilled. And we started looking at, and this was very much working on mindset. So sometimes coaching can be very practical. I want a new job and I need to find a methodology to get that. This was very much about the mindset. What was happening in her thought process that was making her feel like this, and that was holding her back from achieving some of her goals? She had some really amazing goals, but she kept sabotaging herself almost in achieving those goals. And so through the process, I taught her how to tune into that voice, to listen to what the voice was telling her, to understand where that was coming from, and then to basically nurture herself. So a lot of people, they talk about this voice in their head and they call it a gremlin, or they call it a chimp, or they call it negative or a critic, or to get very aggressive words for this voice that goes on in their head.
True.
I tend to think of it as more of my friend in need. And I think if you listen to that voice and really tune into where that's coming from, then you can then help find the solution. So it's like, to me, it's like, the reason I call it a friend in need is because if your friend said to you some of the things that you say to yourself in your head, you would find the words to try and support them and encourage them and motivate them and tell them how good they are, how deserving they are, or how worthy they are. You would find the words to do that. But you don't do that. Yeah, you don't do that for yourself. You just criticize. So it's about tapping into that voice and recognizing it's just a friend in need. And if you listen to the voice, then you could most of the time find a solution. You may need help to find the solution through your coach, but the solution is there if you're just able to open up and find it. And she found her solution within about the space of a month. She was off doing things that she had been holding back from doing, and within the space of 4 or 5 months, she has just supersized and achieved so much. She's done amazing.
And that's just with tuning in, having someone there to say, look, this is what you can do, just that little bit of tweaking, because we've all, like you say, we've all got that voice inside our heads.
Oh yeah.
And to use it as a friend, I love that. I like that one, because yeah, look in the mirror and we'll go, oh God, you're looking really terrible today. Or instead of going, hello friend, okay, I don't look very well today, but I don't care, I'm really very happy. So I like that idea.
Exactly. And I think the other one is, as well as doing that to ourselves, we also have these beliefs about what other people think about us. And that can be so debilitating. And I remember one of my clients, she was in that position when she changed company, and all of a sudden she'd went from being very confident and self-assured to doubting herself, second guessing herself, questioning the decisions she was making. And when you listen to her, she would be talking about what she believed other people thought of her, or what she believed about the environment, or what she believed about the culture. And in actual fact, when you take that and strip that back and choose not to believe the worst or believe the most negative, but in actual fact to believe the more positive outcome or the more positive thought that might be going on in someone's head, then that just it's a trigger to then being able to accept that things might be a little bit better than you think they are.
So what you're doing is you are changing the aspect, the view of what your client is actually seeing, what your client is thinking, what your client is doing.
What they're focusing on. Yeah. What they're focusing on.
Yes.
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 So focus on the positive, focus on the things that you can change, things you can control, and don't worry about the things you can't control.
And it sometimes needs somebody else to say that to you.
Yeah, we sometimes don't recognise we're doing it, and I would be amiss to say that I never find myself in those situations sometimes as well. But the key thing is to learn the strategies and understand when it's happening, so that you can then stop yourself, apply some of the tools that you learn, so you can then take a different approach.
Yeah. So when you left IBM and went into your own business, how easy was that transition?
So difficult. So much more difficult than I ever possibly imagined it could be. It was a big learning curve for me, and I feel as if I'm still learning, actually. And one of the things that I've recognized on that journey is the importance of getting help. So I don't think I would have gone into business for myself had I not had a coach who helped me kind of formulate the plan and the belief that I could. And I've had different people help me on that journey. And in actual fact, I've just signed up with a new coach I'm going to be starting working with this month, who I'm hoping will help me take my business on the next stage of the journey. And I think that's part of the recognition, is that we all need help. We're not all superwomen. We can't always do it ourselves. And we shouldn't try to do it ourselves. even the great Tony Robbins says that if you can find someone else who's done what you want to do, then copy them. Find out what it was that you did and try and do the same. And that's something that I really kind of tried to emulate through the different coaches that I've worked with over the years, so I can help develop myself and my business. But boy, I didn't realize it would take quite as long as it does.
Right. But making that move, I'm presuming you don't regret it?
No. So it was something, as I say, while I was still working in IBM, it was something that I had decided I wanted to do, and I started on that journey. IBM kind of scaled that up for me, because I did find myself being made redundant last year. It was interesting, because then it was, well, wow, now I'm free to focus on it 100%.
Yes.
And that was a kind of a funny advantage, was that all of a sudden, instead of trying to do it as a side gig, as a side hustle, as they sometimes say, I was now able to dedicate 100% of my time to that. And the benefit of that has been phenomenal, because it does mean that you can get a lot more engaged with other people and go out and meet other lovely people like yourself who are in business. You can learn from.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't know what that's doing that for. That's not supposed to do it. I've got on. Sorry, guys. How do I get this off? I had that turned down. Do you know, that is so annoying. I hate that when you're on WhatsApp or something and a call comes through. Right. What was I saying? So it doesn't matter what situation it is that happens in our life. It makes no difference what it is. But at some point, there is something good in every situation.
Yeah. And that's absolutely, it's one of the things you have to focus on. I've been through some dark times as well. I didn't breeze through my career. There were some difficult moments in my career where I was maybe working with a team that I didn't find that we worked so well together. And it's difficult and it's tough, and you have to get through it. But it is about focusing on, well, what is it I can do? What can I learn from this? How can I move on from this? And how can I make the best of the situation that I'm in?
So what advice would you give to some woman who came to you and was kind of in the same situation as you, no matter what age, because age is irrelevant. And they said to you, look, I'm really scared to, for example, move into my own business. What would you say to them? You're out there, they're not coming to you for work, you're meeting them, networking, or, when you've gone out for dinner, maybe even the waitress might be asking you this. What would you say to them?
So for me, it's all about the goal setting and creating a good plan. So I am very much, I teach my clients on my programs, even when you come on my confidence program, the first thing we do is set some goals that you want to achieve. Right. And I always say, so have the inspiration. So if your inspiration is to have a business of your own, that is what keeps you going. So imagine what it feels like when you have that successful business. Tap in to how great that would make you feel once you achieve it. Mm-hmm. And then start looking at the plan. Now, don't worry if you don't have all the skills right now to execute on the plan. Don't focus on that. Just kind of focus on, well, what is it I need to get me started? What are the one or two things that I could do right now? Like me, when I started, I knew I could do some research. I knew I could get some training. I knew if I found myself a coach, she could help structure me. So it's just about taking those tiny little steps. So I always say, keep the inspirational goal and then just chunk it down into what are the small steps that I need to take to help achieve that goal, and just start taking them one step at a time.
Yeah,
I always use a story. A couple of years ago, I rather foolishly volunteered to walk up Ben Nevis. And, I'm not a fit person. I'm a couch potato. I will put my hands up. Fitness is not something that comes naturally to me. But I had been inspired by this woman's story to go and walk Ben Nevis. Oh. And I knew it was going to be a huge challenge. And I knew, and in fact, I remember when I did my first hill walk, I thought to myself, what on earth have I taken on? But you just keep going. You just keep taking that one step at a time. You just don't focus on the big hill. Focus on getting your little hills first. Lots of little hills, lots of little steps get you to where you want to be. And that's it. I know what I want for my business. And it scares the living daylights out of me that how I want my business to be in the future. Right. I don't know how I'm going to get there right now, but I know the little steps that I need to take at this moment that will help me on that journey. And I think that's all you can do, is just focus on the here and now. What can you do here and now that will help you move towards that journey?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if anybody wanted to work with you, what would be the procedure?
So get in touch either via my website, via LinkedIn, via Facebook. I'm contactable. My website, obviously, juliecullen.co.uk. There's just lots of ways you can get in contact. But first of all, get in contact. And then it would be about having a conversation. So one thing I will say for anyone who is thinking about working with a coach, whether it was me or any other coach, before you have that first conversation, think about what it is you want to learn on that conversation. So usually when I have a need or a desire to take on a new coach, I research it for weeks beforehand. Now I'm checking out 1 or 2 or 3 different people that I might like to work with, trying to understand who's a good fit for me, who's a good fit for where my business is, who's the right person to help me on the next step. And so many times people will come on a call with me and they don't really know what to ask and not really sure what they want to achieve. And so that can be quite a struggle to then try and get to the root of what is it that you would like to achieve through coaching. So I'd say before you come on and have the conversation, just have a little think about it. You know, what is it that's prompted you to think a coach might be helpful? And what would you like them to, what's the journey that you would like to go on with them? Because with coaching, it's usually a very specific outcome that you want to achieve in the space of whether it's a one-off, one-call conversation, or whether it's a 3-month journey or a 6-month journey. There's an outcome that you should want to achieve, and have an idea of what that might be, so when you can come on the call, you can ask all the appropriate questions and you can work out if that coach is the right person to help you achieve that.
Perfect. Yeah, because there's lots of different coaches. I don't just mean in confidence here, and it's getting, as you say, the right one for what you are specifically wanting. Not just a fly in the air of, oh yeah, I really want to earn 100,000 by the 6 months time or anything. You've got to know, how am I going to do that? In what way?
Yeah, and it's a relationship. One of the things about coaching is the coach doesn't do it for you. The coach helps you achieve the outcome. So you need to understand what it is you want to achieve. You need to understand whether or not you're willing to put in the effort to achieve the outcome. And you need to understand whether or not you and the coach are going to work well together. So on that first call, that's what I'm trying to work out, is if we're both a good fit for each other. There are times, I had a conversation with a woman just last week. We know each other very well. We've known each other for a very long time. Socially, we got on very well. But when we started discussing how she likes to work and how I like to work, it starts to become clear that we wouldn't make a good partnership. Because we had a different way of working. So she's off looking for a different coach, and I will help and support her with that. And so one of the things you want to learn when you have that first conversation is, are we both a good fit? Do we click? Do we connect? And that's a very good indicator. That's what you want to find out in that first call. Is this person going to be able to help me achieve the outcome that I want to achieve? And is this person that I'm talking to, this coach, are they the person I could work with in the next 3 months, 6 months to make that happen?
Yeah, and you know that by how you feel.
Yeah, it doesn't take long in the conversation to work that out.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. So we have been chatting for half an hour. Can you believe it? You see, I mean, this is just what it's like. So I've got one little fun question. Did you read it? Did you when I sent them through? Oh,
I did, yes.
Well, let's see what answer you can come up with, because I do love these fun things. And the question is, what's the closest thing to real magic?
That is a killer question, Lindsay. Honestly, it took me a long time to think about how I wanted to answer them. I love it. It's a brilliant one. Absolutely fantastic. And the interesting thing is, when I gave it some thought, so I mentioned to you, I'm an engineer by background. I work in a technical environment. I'm very logical. I relate to characters like Data on the Enterprise, right? Very logical. Data, Spock, they're my type of character. So to me, magic just seems, whenever I see a magic trick, I'm always looking to work out how they did it. So I found this question really quite difficult. But what I did come up with is actually, I feel that we create our own magic. And I believe that it's the decisions that we make, the actions that we take, is what creates the magic in our lives.
That's real magic. Wonderful. What a fabulous way to finish this conversation.
Yeah.
That we can all create our own magic.
Yeah.
Julie, thank you so much. I have learned a lot about you. And I mean, we meet often in different places, and certainly at Karen's boot camps. And I didn't know you were an engineer, but now I know, and anybody who's watched and now know.
So I've now just spoiled one of my snookums for the EEC meetups.
Explain that.
Oh, all right, friend. Sorry, I'm forgetting you're from the East Coast. So there's a bunch of us that go to a networking community called East End Connections.
Oh yes, Fiona.
Yes, and so one of the things Fiona asks us when we stand up and introduce ourselves, she asks us to share a snookum, something nobody knows about you.
I've never heard of that word before. Snookum.
Yeah, that's my snookum, something nobody knows about me.
You see, that's something else I've learned. Whoa. Oh, I love it. So I've put up in the link in the box here, up at the top there, you can see all the links to get in touch with Julie in any way, just ask her a question. I'm sure she's willing to help you in any way she can. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Now, members, Julie and I will hang around here for a wee while and just continue chatting. So what I have to do is go down into this thing. You'd think I'd know it by now, wouldn't you? And I'm going to click on stop live stream, and everybody now, catch you all later. Bye-bye.